Hello, everyone. So, welcome to today's session. My name is Naveen, and we'll be doing at LRDI Basics Part 5 of the series CAT 2025 Target 99 plus percentile. So, we'll be looking at the LRDI one set, wherein we will learn how to understand the stem of the set, how to decode it, and how to represent it, how to read the additional information, and how to manipulate it, and later on, how to read the questions carefully and answer them. So, the set says 24 people are part of three committees, which are to look at research, teaching, and administration, respectively. No two committees have any member in common. No two committees are of same size. Each committee has three types of people: bureaucrats, educationalists, and politicians, with at least one from each of the three types in each committee. The following facts are also known about the committees. The number of bureaucrats in the research and teaching committees are equal, while the number of bureaucrats in the research committee is 75% of the number of bureaucrats in the administration committee. The number of educationalists in the teaching committee is less than the number of educationalists in the research committee. The number of educationalists in the research committee is the average of the number of educationalists in other two committees. 60% of the politicians are in the administrative committee and 20% are in teaching committee. So basically, this is a merger of different parameters. So we have a total of 24 people, and there are three committees which are going to look into the first committee being that of research, the another for teaching, and another for administration. And each committee has three types of people: bureaucrats, educationalists, and politicians. So if you think about it, this looks like a set theory based or a Venn diagram type of set. But basically, we can use a table to decode when we have such mixing of parameters that take place. Let's read these state questions and understand what we have to do. So the first question says, what is the number of bureaucrats in the administration committee? Second is, it's a theta question, so definite answer. What is the number of educationalists in the research committee? Again, a theta question, so a definite answer. Which of the following cannot be determined uniquely based on the given information? So cannot be determined uniquely as in there are going to be cases. And the fourth one, based on the given information, which of the following statements must be false? So there may be some statements which are true, some of statements which may be true, and some statements which may not be true at all. So that means whatever we are going to decode and represent, it's not necessarily going to be complete, or we are going to have cases. So how to decode this? So basically what we are going to do is, let's say we are going to write committees here, which is research, teaching, and administration. And we have got the people types, which are going to be bureaucrats, educationalists, and politicians. And under this, we have got the total number of people, the sum of the row values as 24 and the sum of the column values as also 24. And then the additional information talks about how they are related in terms of percentages or fractions or averages. Also, it is given that no two committees have any member in common, which means that if we have, let's say, three people here, the same three people, or let's say even a single person out of here, is not placed anywhere. So since there is no repetition, so it's going to be easy to find out the sum or the difference as required. And it is also given that at least one from each of the three types in each committee. So we cannot have zero anywhere. Having understood this, let's complete this. So we have got a total of 24 people, and then we have got committees which are research, and then we have teaching, and then we have administration. And the types of people that we have are bureaucrats, then we have educationalists, and then we have politicians. Okay, so basically we are done with first, second, and third. Let's read the fourth statement. The numbers of bureaucrats in the research and teaching committees are equal. So let's call them B and B. While the number of bureaucrats in the research committee is 75% of the number of bureaucrats in the administration committee. 75% is nothing but 3 out of 4. So what we are going to do is we are going to take in administration committee 4B, so that this becomes 3B, and in teaching committee also we have 3B, so this turns out to be 7B. 10B. 3B plus 3B plus 4B. We're done with the fourth statement now. Fifth, the number of educationalists in the teaching committee is less than the number of educationalists in the research committee. So this is less. So the number we are going to put on the left-hand side should be more than the number we are going to put on the right-hand side in the educationalist row. Next statement. The number of educationalists in the research committee is the average of the number of educationalists in the other two committees. So basically, if I call this as twice E1 and we call this as twice E2, this one is going to be E1 plus E2. Or we can simply write E1 and E2, and we can take E1 and E2 divided by 2. So this will be better because we do not know if these are even numbers. Also, since average lies between the two values, if the research committee educationalist is more than E1, that means E2 should be less than E1 plus E2 by 2. So basically, the educationalist in research is going to be the midpoint of the values of teaching and admin. Okay, so if we add these three, we are going to get 1.5. So that is 3 by 2 times of E1 plus E2. Okay, done with this. Seventh, 60% of the politicians are in the administration committee and 20% are in the teaching committee. So basically, if I take 5P, so 60% of 5P, that is 3P, are in admin and 20% are in teaching committee. So that is 1/5. So this is going to be P. So 3P plus P is 4P, 4P plus P is 5P. Now, it is also given that no two committees are of same size. So the sum that we are going to get here, they should be different from each other. They should not be same. Okay. Now, we can see that we have got tons of variables. So obviously, the best way forward is to start with some certain assumptions. So here we can see that 10B is going to be either a 10 or a 20. Right? Now, if 10B is going to be 20, the thing is 5P is going to be minimum 5. So 20 plus 5 will become 25. So that is going to be more than the total number of people. So 10B cannot be 20. That means B is going to be 1. If B is going to be 1, this turns out to be 3, this turns out to be 3, and this turns out to be 4, and this turns out to be 10. That means the sum of others is going to be the remaining 14. Now, if I want this to be 14, instead of taking 3 by 2 times of E1 plus E2, let's take 5P. Now, if 5P is going to be 1, so we will have 9 with us. Sorry, 5P is going to be 5. That means P is going to be 1. If this happens, then we will have this scenario that out of 14, if 5 is here, so 9 is going to be from here. 3 by 2 times E1 plus E2, this is going to be 9. Says that 10 plus 5 plus 9, this is 24. That means E1 plus E2 is going to be 6. Right? The other possibility we can have is if 5P is going to be 10, that means P is going to be 2. So out of 14, if we have P is equal to 2, then what will happen is we are left with 4. So for that 4, we will have 3 by 2 times E1 plus E2 is equal to 4, which will not give us E1 plus E2 as a natural. It will give us a fraction. Also, another scenario that If 10b is 10, 5p we cannot take that as 10 because, okay, sorry, we can take that as 10 because there can be a repetition. But the thing is, e1 plus e2 is going to be a fraction. Number of people cannot be fraction. So this is not a valid scenario. The next possibility is if I take 5p as 15. Well, the total remaining sum is 14, so we can't have 5p as 15. So this takes us to p is going to be 1. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 1, this is going to be 3. That means this is going to be 5. So right now the sum that we see is 4 here, the sum that we see is 4 here, and the sum that we see is 7 here. Now e1 plus e2 is supposed to be 6. Now if e1 plus e2 is supposed to be 6, what are the possible cases? So if we take e1 as 1, e2 is going to be 5. Average of 1 and 5 is going to be 3. So the total sum, let's rewrite this. So the total sum is 6 plus 1, 7. Another possibility, let's put a comma already. So this is going to be 5, and this is going to be 4 plus 5 plus 3, which is 12. The next possibility is if I take, instead of 1 and 5, so this is always going to be 3. This is fixed, right? This is not going to change. Because the sum is 6, so the average is 3. If this turns out to be 2 and this turns out to be 4, so this is going to be 1 more, so this turns out to be 6. This is going to be 1 less, so this is 11. If we take this as 3, the problem is this is going to be equal to the average of e1 and e2. So we can't take a 3, we can't take a 4, because then it will become more, but it is going to be more than that. So we have these two possibilities that we can have 1, 2, or 5, 4, and accordingly we can have sum as 5, 6, and 12, 11. So we can see that there are certain cells that are definite. There are certain cells that are not. Now, let's go back to the questions. What is the number of bureaucrats in the administration committee? In the administration committee, the number of bureaucrats, it's going to be 4. 4b, so that's 4. What is the number of educationalists in the research committee? Educationalists in the research committee is a fixed number. It's 3. It's in teaching and admin that they are different. Third, which of the following cannot be determined uniquely? The total number of educationalists in the 3 committees. It can be determined uniquely. The total number of bureaucrats in the 3 committees. It can be determined uniquely, which is 10. The size of the teaching committee. Of course, we can't determine that uniquely. The size of the research committee, that's fixed, which is 7. So C becomes our answer. Next, which of the following statements must be false? In the admin committee, the number of bureaucrats. So in the admin committee, the number of bureaucrats is 4, is equal to the number of educationalists. Well, they may be same, they may not be same. 4 and 4, they may be same. 4 and 5, they may not be. Question asks us about must be false. So this is not our answer. Second, the size of the research committee is less than the size of the teaching committee. The size of the research committee is definitely more than the size of the teaching committee. So this is going to be the answer because this is definitely false. Let's check the other two options as well to be more confident about it. The size of the research committee is less than the size of the admin committee. The size of the research committee is less than the size of the admin committee. This is definitely true. We are looking for definite false. In the teaching committee, the number of educationalists. So in the teaching committee, the number of educationalists is 1 or 2 is equal to the number of politicians. So politicians is 1 here, right? So it may be same, it may not be same. So definitely not a false statement. So this is somewhere along the lines of moderate. If you do not know that by doing hit and trial, you can get to answers. Okay. It turns out to be easy once you are aware of that, because even though it felt like there are going to be 2 or 3 cases, we end up having, only one case for 10B and 5P, and accordingly for 1.5 times of E1 plus E2. But the further 2 cells of teaching and admin under educationalists, those give 2 different values, because of which we had 2 different sums for those 2 columns. So had there been one more possibility, let's say 5P was 10, that was also possible, then we may end up having 4 or 5 or 6 cases, right? So I hope you were able to solve this. Before I solved it by pausing the video, okay? In case you did not do that, please make sure in the next session, while I have shown you the questions, you pause the video and then try to solve it yourself, and then come back to the solution and see how closely your solution was related. Did you come up with a better, smarter way, or was it a longer way? So you get to learn different approaches. Well, that's all for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching this. Make sure that you subscribe and like this video and share with your friends. Take care.